Welcome to the Rubank Elementary Method book lesson 2. This is the second video in the Tuba Rubank book method series that we're doing. This is for young tuba players, new tuba players, or anybody who just wants to work a little bit on their fundamentals. Last week we talked about whole notes, we talked about breathing, we talked about keeping a nice open tone, and today we're going to talk a little bit about tonguing. As we introduce these half notes, we're beginning to need to use our tongue more. I've seen different struggles with different people. I've worked with people in the past who don't quite understand where to put their tongue or what role it exactly plays. And then on the other side of that, I see people who are just using their tongue too much and it messes up their tone. And keep in mind here, the big thing that we're pushing here is tone. We want a nice, pretty sound, but we want to be able to play what's written. And half notes are different than whole notes. And you need to make that distinction with your tongue. The thing that I was told a lot growing up is tip of the tongue, top of the teeth. And basically, I talked last week about toe. Exactly where you put your tongue for toe is how you can tongue it while you're playing your instrument. So if we're looking at just this first example, toe, toe, toe. If I'm playing it just on my mouthpiece, my tongue is doing the exact same thing when I'm saying toe than when I'm tonguing these notes. And there's going to be a tendency that now that you're using your tongue a little bit more to get it in the way. But think about when you say toe, the tongue is immediately going back down to the bottom of your mouth. It's not sticking up. And that plays a big role in having a nice open tone and a closed tone. Because if your tongue is sitting up in the way of the airstream, you're not going to have as good of a sound. I think that's pretty much everything for this. So this is on page 4, lesson 2. The metronome is at 100 beats per minute still. So really just focus on having a nice, good tone while using your tongue. So that is basically all that we have for this lesson. The big takeaway is, of course, the tonguing each little half note. There were some tricky things in this lesson, especially number 8. It kind of introduced some jumps in the intervals, and it wasn't just straight up and down the scale. And we'll talk about that in the next lesson and how to center a note and how to really hear it in your head. So I will be posting lesson 3 of this in a week. For now, keep working on your tonguing. There's different exercises that you can come up with for the tonguing outside of this. Even just a simple 100 beats per minute metronome, playing a quarter note over and over again. That way you can kind of build up a muscle memory. For example, if I wanted to sit on a note that I was comfortable with, like an F at 100 beats per minute, I could practice outside of this book on that note over and over again. Quarter notes, half notes, whatever you're most comfortable with. Wherever you're at personally, that's a great way to build muscle memory to where you can do it just like that. So that's my last little tip for this lesson. Obviously, these video lessons are great, but they don't replace one-on-one lessons. So check the description down below for lesson information from me. If you're not in my area, online lessons are completely viable, especially at this level. We're really just working on improving, and there's so much fundamental stuff that we can talk about in a lesson. We don't necessarily have to be sitting right next to each other. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Go make life musical, and I'll see you next week.